Today, Omicron causing uncertainty for the global supply chain. Some experts warning that China may tighten lockdown policies and worsen the situation. OPEC Plus is sticking to its own plan to increase oil production, but at a much slower rate than the Biden admin wants. We have analysis on the market's reaction. And a major labor dispute. Major League Baseball owners and players failed to achieve a collective bargaining agreement. What does that mean for the upcoming season? That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Good evening. Great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney. Vaccine maker Moderna says it could have a booster shot targeting the Omicron variant by March. The shot is likely to carry genes targeting specific mutations in the Omicron variant. Moderna says that's the quickest way to add effectiveness to the current vaccine. It's also working on a new vaccine aimed at 4 different CCP virus variants, including Omicron, but that could take several more months. The company can manufacture that vaccine while testing it, though, to have it ready to go out as soon as possible. And the U.S. has confirmed its second case of the Omicron variant. The individual lives in Minnesota, but recently traveled to New York City for a convention. Minnesota health officials say the adult man has been vaccinated. And some experts are warning that in China, the threat of zero COVID lockdown policies will lead to more interruption in supply chains. They say businesses should be ready to face supply chain challenges longer than they may have expected. NTD's Faye Quarter has the details.
As the Omicron variant spreads and governments threaten and impose new restrictions, uncertainty about economic recovery is building.
It's the susceptibility of the population that is greater now.
Under this new virus threat, analysts think China is expected to intensify its zero COVID policy, and the knock-on effects could greatly worsen the supply chain bottleneck. So what is China's zero COVID policy?
All positive COVID cases and those who have had close contact all have to undergo strict quarantine. At the same time, the government will close off the affected neighborhoods for at least 14 days, then have at least one round of COVID testing for everyone in the neighborhood or even the whole city.
China analyst Tong Jingyuan says such measures tend to be political instead of medical. Just a few cases will lead to mass lockdowns. He says under such a policy, if coastal port cities suffer a partial outbreak, their ports will carry out stricter checks and may even shut down.
Right now, the average shipping time between China to the U.S. from port to port has increased to 30 days from 20 days in 2019.
According to the World Shipping Council, among the top 10 busiest ports worldwide, 7 are in China. As for businesses already facing supply chain woes, they should be ready.
Look, we're going to move forward, but at any given moment, be prepared.
Paul Harinkik, vice president at LPS Industries, says communication is very important at this stage.
We're communicating with our workers, our suppliers, and our customers to make sure that they are up to speed and that we do not have currently any supply chain disruptions to our business.
Oxford Economics estimates if Omicron hits supply chains, Asia's gross domestic product is likely to decrease 1.6 percentage points next year. Faye Quarter, NTD News.
And supply chain congestion is one reason for the inflation we're seeing. The Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen today raising one possible way to tackle higher prices to lower Trump-era tariffs on imported goods from China. Although she admits it won't be a silver bullet.
It's not a game changer, but I think the tariffs do contribute to higher prices in the United States. And the Trump tariffs that were put in place, some of them create problems without having any real strategic justification.
Yellen says the trade representative has been working with China to review the Phase 1 trade agreement, opening up a process where firms can apply to lower their tariffs. The Trump tariffs were put in place to clamp down on Beijing's unfair trade practices. The Biden administration pretty much left them in place. But now it will reopen a process for certain companies to be exempted. And despite the U.S. government's calls for OPEC Plus to increase oil production faster to help with rising prices, it's not going to do it. It's sticking to its planned increases, which are much slower than the Biden administration would like. OPEC has been adding an additional 400,000 barrels per day of output each month since August. That's to bring back production after record cuts agreed at the onset of the pandemic. Many say the reduced supply is to blame for rising oil prices this year, although prices are down more than $10 a barrel since last Thursday, when news of the Omicron variant first shook investors. So joining us is Tracy Shuchart, Global Energy and Materials Strategist with hedge fund Telemetry. Tracy, great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me back.
Tracy, OPEC Plus isn't going to boost production any faster than it had planned. Do you feel that they predicted this type of pandemic uncertainty was going to come back? That's why they were reluctant to move too fast?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting them to actually hold off a month on the planned increases. And so that's why we saw energy prices kind of drop immediately after that announcement. However, what they did do is they left the meeting open, which is something they've never done before. So that means that until the next meeting, they can immediately change their plan if they feel that that it's warranted because of the pandemic. Basically, what they were saying is, we don't really have enough information yet, but we're going to leave this meeting open. But oil bounced, a good $3-4 right after that announcement. So I think it was a twofold thing. The market was relieved that the meeting was left open, but it also kind of gave the market confidence that OPEC went ahead with the planned cuts. It kind of gave people, I think, a little more confidence that OPEC believes in the market, believes in the plan, and thinks things are going to be okay. So we did see quite a bit of a rebound after that initial reaction from the announcement.
Probably if they're going to leave it open, there's more chance they'll cut production over the next month if there's kind of restrictions on travel or the economy slows down because of new restrictions, pandemic-related restrictions, rather than increase production like maybe the American government would like them to do, right?
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. What reaction are you seeing in the energy markets on this new variant and the threat of new restrictions?
Well, I mean, we've seen obviously an incredible pullback, right, in oil prices. In fact, the dip in oil prices is actually factoring in a minus 7 million barrel per day in global consumption, which is just about as much as we had when we initially shut down in 2020. So, this market's obviously very skittish. The broader markets are also very skittish, but I think that, it's staged a huge overreaction. I don't think, we're not going to see the whole global world shut down again. We are seeing some countries in Europe, and we are seeing travel restrictions from some countries. But, we just had Biden on today who said we're not going to shut down, the United States.
But I think it's been interesting because near Delta time, at least, I think we were informed, or at least some way informed, that there could be new variants, right? I don't think there was ever an idea where this is it, right? Maybe people felt with the vaccines coming in, maybe it's not going to be affected anymore. So I'm surprised that there has been such a reaction just to a new variant when I think a lot of us may have seen it coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, we've kind of gone through this every 6 months, right? Like last December, we had, the market sold off in a panic on a new variant. Then in July, we had sort of the same panic over another variant, and then, but, it seems like, each time it comes, the markets, even though the markets react, that it's a little bit less, except for the oil market this particular time. But, But yeah, I mean, we have been aware, we have had other variants, even though Delta has been the predominant variant, right? But we have seen other variants. They just haven't been spreading as quickly, and they haven't come into predominance.
Tracy Shuchart, Hedge Fund Telemetry. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it looks like the government may avoid a shutdown this week. Congressional leaders today reached an agreement on a spending bill that would keep the government running through mid-February. Still needs to go through the Senate, though, where some senators are threatening to slow walk it. That's to protest the Biden administration's vaccine mandates. And Kellogg said today it reached an agreement with the union. A new 5-year contract potentially brings a 2-month-long strike to an end. The deal is tentative so far, but it includes wage increases, better retirement benefits, and better terms for temporary workers. Employees at the cereal plants went on strike after their contracts expired and negotiations stalled. Union members opposed Kellogg's 2-tier employment system. They say it didn't offer temporary workers a pathway to become permanent, although they make up 30% of its workforce. Kellogg employees will vote on the deal Sunday. And there's another dispute between a corporation and a labor union, Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association. They failed to come to a collective bargaining agreement Wednesday. So, could this season's games be at risk? NTD's Fake Quarter tells us more.
Major League Baseball has been shut down. The MLB Players Association and the league's owners were unable to come to a collective bargaining agreement, freezing the $10 billion industry.
This is not about anyone that operates in the industry or any team individually that operates in the industry. It's the rules. It's the rules, and it's what drives them to be the best team the next year or even then. And when we have something in our rules that creates non-competitiveness and creates something that drives down fan interest, all those things need to be addressed and addressed immediately.
Players are now locked out, meaning teams can't trade and sign them. The MLB Players Association tweeted that the shutdown was the owner's choice, plain and simple, specifically calculated to pressure players into relinquishing rights and benefits. They added, "We have been here before, and players have risen to the occasion time and again, guided by a solidarity that has been forged over generations. We will do so again here."
Good afternoon, everybody.
Meanwhile, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred says the union's demands would threaten the ability of most teams to be competitive and are simply not a viable option.
It's not a good thing for the sport. It's not something that we undertake lightly. We understand it's bad for our business. We took it out of a desire to drive the process forward to an agreement now.
The labor stoppage is the 9th in MLB history and ends 26 years of labor peace. The 2022 baseball season begins on March 31st. If no agreement is reached by then, actual games will be threatened. Faye Quarter, NTD News.
And the number of workers applying for unemployment benefits in the United States rose last week. It's after hitting a 52-year low the week before. But analysts generally expected the rebound in part due to seasonal data adjustments. The Labor Department said first-time filings came in at 222,000 for the last week, but continuing claims fell by 107,000 to 1.96 million. That's a pandemic-era low. And so with the labor market continuing to tighten, it's harder for businesses to hold on to talent. So NTD's Evelyn Lee spoke with an expert to see how to keep them.
During a worker shortage, it's more important than ever to retain your workers. So joining us now is Kelly Keenan. He is a brand story expert and author, and he's got some advice on that. It's great to have you with us, Kelly.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So what are the key considerations when it comes to retaining workers?
You know, I think there's been a lot of shift in the last couple of years. You've got some people that don't want to come back to work. You've got some people that want to work from home. And I think the biggest factor is, really making sure that companies are illustrating, what that opportunity is like again, refreshing people's mind what it's like to be back in the workforce. I always say that, you have an opportunity with so many channels to educate people on your company and your culture. And now more important than ever, you need to get out and do that. It used to be that hiring and retention was a lot easier. Now there's so much competition and everybody's saying the same things. You got the same salaries, you got the same perks, all that. And so your culture is really what separates you. It's really what makes people say, hey, I want to be a part of that organization. And when it comes to retention, it also shows appreciation for your team when you can celebrate your culture and what you're doing, and it goes outside of just kind of selling people and talking to them about the same exact, benefits and salaries. You got to kind of tell them who you are and educate them on that.
And how big of a role does branding play in that? How important is that to retain employees?
I think the brand is everything, and today the brand is more than just what you put out there to the consumers. It's also the brand is how you treat your team, and it's how you treat your community, and people, they have all kinds of options out there. People don't have to work for your company, so your brand needs to be inclusive of all those aspects, and you have to tell a comprehensive story that includes all that, because that's what's going to make people say, man, I was missing that in my old job, or that's really what I want to be a part of. And everybody builds trust in different ways. Some people are emotional, and some people, they want to feel good about what they're doing. Some people are, operational. They want to understand the mechanics of the opportunity. And then some people are just results oriented, and they want to have empirical evidence to say this is who we are and what I can expect and the reputation you've earned. So the key is to tell that comprehensive story that kind of works all of that in and gives that personality, but also, the ways that people can build trust in a comprehensive way. You have to cover all those bases, and that's really the key.
And what's the number one reason people leave their workplace right now, if there is one?
I think people are leaving because they have, better choices, or maybe they're just not connecting. People don't understand their role in the story. That's another thing. When you celebrate who you are and you give people an understanding of your core values and who you are as a company, and people will see whether they fit or whether they don't fit. And, you want to make it easy for them to feel like they're, appreciated and where they fit in. And if they don't fit in, then that's a reason for them to leave. And you get other people that do fit in. And the key with that is you don't have people that want to just flip and go different places. When you connect on that level, you end up getting those long-term relationships. And that's how everybody wins. Everybody wins when people who are there want to be there, they connect with their role, and they feel appreciated. And I think that's why a lot of people are looking, because they don't feel that attachment, or else they don't know how to connect in that way.
I see. Thank you so much for your insights, Kelly.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Paul, back to you.
Thanks, Evelyn. And in today's market news, Wall Street saw a broad rally today, closed sharply higher, recovering ground from recent session lows. All three U.S. indexes advancing. The Dow rose 618 points, about 1 0.8%. S&P 500 gained 64 points, about 1 0.4%. And the Nasdaq gained 127 points, about 0.8% today. And American investors could have more information on the Chinese firms they're investing in. The SEC has new rules for Chinese companies listed on U.S. exchanges. They have to disclose whether they're owned or controlled by the Chinese regime. Otherwise, they may be delisted. They also have to provide evidence of their auditing inspections. The law was initially passed in 2020 after the Luckin Coffee fraud probe, and China repeatedly refusing to let the SEC inspect its auditors. The new rule could lead to more than 200 companies being kicked off U.S. exchanges. And still to come this evening, you have a chance to stay at the famous house featured in the movie Home Alone. It's only for one night, though. What's included in the deal? And Tesla launching an electric four-wheeler for kids. What's it based on, and how much will you have to fork out? That and much more coming up on NTD Business.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure is 100% private and does not collect or sell any of your personal data. Secure's Helix technology connects you securely to our Swiss servers without the need of a VPN, guaranteeing privacy and security for all your communications. Secure Messenger doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. Chat by Invites allows you to chat privately and securely with anyone outside of your secure network without the need for others to download Secure. Secure Send offers you a private and secure way to email anyone outside of Secure. You won't find this level of privacy or security on any other email or instant messaging application. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Back. It's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
Welcome back. Ford says its F-150 is America's top-selling truck for the 45th straight year. It's also the country's top-selling vehicle overall for the 40th straight year. It's managed to stay on top of truck sales from Stellantis and General Motors. It's also managed to stay on top during the chip shortage and part shortage that caused rolling shutdowns at Ford plants. Even with all the good news, Ford's F-150 sales were down 7% from a year ago. And Tesla has launched an electric quad bike for kids. It'll cost $1,900, and the four-wheel ATV is called Cyber Quad for Kids. It's inspired by Tesla's Cybertruck. The company says the vehicle will begin shipping in 2 to 4 weeks, but if you live in Hawaii, Alaska, or Puerto Rico, you're out of luck. It says it can't ship to those places yet, at least. In 2019, Musk tweeted that an electric ATV would arrive as an option for Tesla's much anticipated and yet to be launched Cybertruck. Production of the truck has been facing supply chain challenges due to supply chain problems. And humans may soon be heading into space powered by green engines. A British company says it successfully tested an eco-engine that could propel a rocket into orbit. The company says it's using the cleanest propellants out there. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
On a mountain by the Swiss ski resort of Gstaad, a group of scientists are testing a new engine. They say it's capable of powering the upper stage of a rocket with a larger booster stage into orbit. The exhaust speeds of the Pulsar Fusion engine recorded at Mach 7.
We wanted to see the engine running at full pressure, which we achieved with our first test in Switzerland. And to do that, you have to have liquid fuel rather than a gas fuel, which is what we did. And then we wanted to supercharge the engine using nitrogen, and that also worked.
CEO Richard Dinnan argues there's potential for expansion in the European and worldwide space industry. worth billions if investors can be found.
We have a different mindset when it comes to investing. The Americans are very happy to fund things for the technology with more conscientious investing, whereas people in England seem to be they're more interested in quick money and short investment horizons, and that's just not how you invest in sort of space.
According to Dinnan, the engine is powered by nitrous oxide and high-density polyethylene. He claims the combination is cleaner than fuels which power existing rockets.
A lot of engines can be putting out really horrible toxic fumes, things which we really don't want in the environment, and you really be some really nasty sort of products. Whereas having majority of water and a little bit of CO2 makes it a very desirable engine. In fact, it's one of the cleanest designs around.
The company's ultimate aim is to design a rocket engine powered by fusion. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And being home for the holidays is great. And for 90s movies fans, being home alone for the holidays might be even better. In fact, Airbnb is banking on it, hosting a one-night-only stay in the festive, film-famous house. Here's the details.
Happy holidays, you filthy animals! The house made famous by the Christmas classic Home Alone will play host to guests for a night this holiday season. I know, right? The Chicago area home, still frozen in its silver screen state, will host an overnight stay via Airbnb on December 12th for the ridiculously low price of only $25. That's only a few bucks more than Kevin's grocery bill.
1983.
Man, those were the days, huh? Many are expected to try, but only one will win the 4-guest booking, complete with all the trimmings like faux booby traps that you can set, a candlelit mac and cheese dinner, and an up-close and personal meet and greet with a real tarantula.
That's the latest business updates for today, but you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, it's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.